By the time the office lights began shutting off one floor at a time, I was exhausted enough to forget what day it was. I loosened my tie, closed my laptop, and stared at the rain sliding down the windows of my corner office. Another 12-hour day was finally over. My secretary, Emily, appeared at the doorway carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You're still working?" she asked. "Unfortunately." She smiled. "Then you're coming with me." I looked up. "Where?" "Somewhere you don't have to be the boss." 20 minutes later, we were sitting in a quiet little lounge a few blocks from the office. It wasn't the kind of place I usually visited. No executives. No business partners. Just soft lights, live music, and people laughing over dinner. Emily sat across from me, looking completely different outside the office. At work, she was always professional, organized, and careful with every word. Tonight, she seemed relaxed. "You've never seen me sing, have you?" she asked. "I didn't know you sang." She grinned. "There are a lot of things you don't know about me." Before I could answer, the host announced that guests could choose songs for a duet. Emily suddenly stood. "Emily?" She turned around. "Don't leave." Then she walked toward the small stage. I watched her whisper something to the musician. A few seconds later, the opening notes of a slow romantic song filled the room. Emily took the microphone. Her voice was warm, confident, and surprisingly beautiful. I couldn't look away. Halfway through the song, she looked directly at me. Then she pointed toward the empty microphone beside her. The audience started laughing and clapping. I shook my head. She mouthed, "Come on." I had negotiated million-dollar contracts without blinking, but somehow walking onto that stage felt terrifying. Still, I stood. The moment I joined her, Emily smiled. We sang the rest of the song together. For those few minutes, the office, deadlines, emails, and everything else disappeared. When the song ended, everyone applauded. I stepped away from the microphone, but Emily caught my hand. "Wait." She looked at me differently now. Not like an employee looking at her employer. Like a woman who had been holding something inside for a long time. Then the music softened. Emily leaned toward the microphone and quietly sang one final line. "Take me home with you." The room seemed to disappear. I stared at her. She immediately lowered the microphone, her cheeks turning red. "I didn't mean, yes, you did." She looked down. "I've wanted to tell you for months," she whispered. "But you're my boss." I was afraid saying anything would ruin everything. I took a slow breath. "Emily, if you come home with me tonight, I don't want it to be because you're afraid of losing your job." She looked up. "And if I come?" "Then come because you want to know what happens when we're not boss and secretary." Her eyes filled with a nervous smile. "I do." Outside, the rain had stopped. We walked beneath the streetlights toward my car, neither of us saying much. At the passenger door, Emily stopped me. "One thing." "What?" "Tomorrow morning, I'm still your secretary." I smiled. "Tomorrow morning, we'll talk about that." She laughed softly. Then she slipped her hand into mine. For the first time in years, going home didn't feel like the end of another exhausting workday. It felt like the beginning of something neither of us had expected. The next morning, I arrived at the office 10 minutes earlier than usual. I told myself it was because I had a meeting at 8. It wasn't. I wanted to know how Emily would look at me after everything that happened the night before. At exactly 8:03, she entered my office carrying a folder. "Good morning, Mr. Carter." The formality caught me off guard. "Good morning, Emily." She placed the folder on my desk. "Our 9 o'clock meeting has been moved to 10. Thank you." She nodded and turned to leave. "Emily." She stopped. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then she smiled. Last night wasn't a mistake. I stood. I know. Her smile grew. But we need to be careful, I continued. You're important to this company, and I don't want anyone thinking your position depends on us. She nodded seriously. I understand. I'll arrange for you to report directly to another manager if you want. Emily looked surprised. You'd really do that? I want you to have a choice. She stepped closer. And what if I choose you? My heart skipped. Then we'll take things slowly. She smiled. That's not exactly what you said last night. I was less nervous last night. She laughed. The sound immediately changed the atmosphere. Then her phone rang. She answered, and her expression changed. What happened? I asked. She ended the call. The board meeting. What about it? They're demanding your resignation. My smile disappeared. Why? Someone leaked confidential documents. They're claiming you authorized the leak. I stared at her. That's impossible. I know. She opened her folder and pulled out several printed pages. But someone wants everyone to believe it. Within an hour, the entire company was in chaos. Executives whispered in hallways. Lawyers filled conference rooms. Reporters gathered outside the building. Then Emily found something. She placed a security report in front of me. This is the access log from the night the files were copied. I read it. My blood ran cold. The access code belonged to my office. But I hadn't been there. Someone stole my credentials. Emily nodded. And I think I know who. She turned the page. There was one name. The company's chief financial officer. I looked at her. If we're wrong, this could destroy his career. If we're right, she said quietly, he's trying to destroy yours. We spent the next 2 hours gathering evidence. Then Emily suddenly froze. There. What? She pointed to the security footage. A man entered my office at 11:47 p.m. His face was hidden beneath a hood. But when he turned, his watch caught the light. Emily recognized it immediately. That watch belongs to him. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A distorted voice whispered, "You should have stayed away from her." The line went dead. Emily's face went pale. I slowly looked at her. This isn't about the company anymore. She swallowed. No, then she reached for my hand. And I'm not leaving you alone. For the first time, I realized that the woman who had once been afraid to tell me how she felt was now standing beside me while everything I had built was collapsing. And somehow, that made me stronger. I squeezed her hand. Then let's find out who is behind this. Neither of us noticed the office door slowly opening behind us. Someone was listening. The office door opened only an inch. Emily noticed it first. She immediately pulled her hand away from mine and whispered, "Someone's outside." I turned toward the door. It was empty. I rushed into the hallway, but whoever had been there was already gone. Only a small black flash drive lay on the carpet. Emily picked it up with a tissue. "Don't touch it directly." We returned to my office and called our IT security specialist. Within minutes, he connected the drive to an isolated computer. "There are encrypted files," he said. "And one video." He opened it. The screen showed my office from the previous night. The hooded man entered, opened my computer, and copied confidential files. But then he removed his hood. Emily gasped. I felt my stomach drop. It wasn't the CFO. It was Daniel, my personal assistant. The man who had worked beside me for 7 years. He couldn't have done this, I whispered. The security specialist paused the video. There's more. A second clip appeared. Daniel was meeting someone in the parking garage. The camera angle was poor, but the second person was recognizable. Emily stared at the screen. That's the CFO. I immediately called security. Before they could arrive, Daniel walked into my office. He looked nervous. Sir, we need to talk. I stared at him. About the files? His face changed. Emily stepped beside me. Daniel closed the door. I never wanted anyone hurt. Then why did you steal my credentials? He lowered his eyes. They threatened my family. Silence filled the room. Who? I asked. The CFO isn't the one in charge. Emily's expression hardened. Who is? Daniel looked directly at her. Someone you both know. Before he could say the name, the lights suddenly went out. A crash came from the hallway. Then the emergency lights switched on. Daniel was gone. I rushed outside. Emily followed. At the end of the corridor, the elevator doors were closing. Someone had escaped. Then Emily noticed something on the floor. A small silver bracelet. She picked it up and stared at it. Her face went completely pale. What is it? I asked. She didn't answer immediately. Finally, she whispered, it belonged to my mother. I looked at her. You're sure? Emily nodded. She disappeared when I was 12. The pieces suddenly seemed connected. The mysterious threats. The stolen documents. The people inside my company. And now her missing mother. Emily looked at me with tears in her eyes. I thought she was dead. I placed a hand on her shoulder. We'll find her. Her phone suddenly buzzed. One message. A photograph. Emily opened it. It showed an older woman sitting inside a dimly lit room. Underneath the photograph were 6 words, "Come alone if you want her alive." Emily's hands began shaking. I took the phone from her. We're not going alone. She looked at me. But she's my mother. I know. And if they hurt her, they won't, I said firmly. Emily stared into my eyes. You promise? I nodded. I promise we'll bring her home. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Emily stepped forward and hugged me tightly. Outside the office windows, the city continued moving as if nothing had happened. But our lives had changed completely. The woman who had once asked me to take her home was now asking me to help bring her mother home. And somewhere in the city, someone was waiting for us. Someone who knew exactly how to make us afraid.